I've had a number of people in the last few weeks ask me how I'm doing, and they ask me that half expecting me to talk about the unrest in the world and the chaos and upheaval that's happening now culturally and politically, or and will make reference to what might be going on astrologically. And they kind of want me to join in with their lack of peace or being disturbed by it. And I think maybe people do this because they want to feel like it's okay to feel that way. And I want to say, first of all, that yes, it absolutely is okay to feel whatever you're feeling in response to what's going on in the world right now. And I also want to say, with as much love and understanding as I can convey, that the lack of peace that you're feeling now has much less to do with what's happening in the world and what's happening with the planets than it does with what's in you. And while in a way that might sound harsh, what I hope to do instead is support you and encourage you to let's help truly evolve us as a species, and do so by using this challenging time, because challenging times like this have always been what was necessary for growth to happen. We know this as individuals, so it certainly must be true collectively that only when we're suffering and we're in pain are we inclined to dig deeply and look for something, some comfort, some peace, some truth that's deeper than what our egoic minds have been able to come up with. So to me, this is what's happening collectively. Growth and evolution and people and cultures, doesn't happen. We don't start here and then just shoot straight up. It's up and down and up and down and up and down. It often gets quite worse before it gets better. And that's to be expected. And what we want to do, if we can, for those of us who feel ready to and who are called, is to use this time that's happening and the feelings that it triggers in us to let those be kind of pointers to show us where we're still limiting ourselves, where we're still stuck in old egoic programs, where we're still stuck in emotional programs, so that we can heal those and release those, and truly not just feel more peace within ourselves, but but make a more peaceful contribution. Because anything that we're still carrying inside of us, we're going to project out into the world and make somebody wrong. And I am in a unique position, which I hope will be helpful for you, and you won't hear as judgment from me, that because I'm a therapist, I'm listening to conservative people and liberal people talk about their fears and concerns and their frustrations. And the thing is that whether people are conservative or liberal, once we get to the level of the body-mind, once we check inside, everybody's feeling the same thing. Everybody's getting stuff triggered when it comes right down to it. And it's just that who they are blaming it on is different. And and again, I'm in a unique position. If I weren't, if I didn't have years and years of training for how to stay present and do what I do, whether I agree with someone's political views or position or not. I've got the training so that I can stay present without reacting to it, and help them, and look to the energy. I don't work with the person. When I work with somebody, I'm not working with the personality ego structure. I'm working with the emotional energy and the energy that's underneath what's driving the feelings, thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, and personality structure. So because I've been doing it that way for a long time, I don't get hooked, not very often, and don't get hooked, and don't personally react, and I don't have to try not to, because I'm not dealing with the personality. I'm dealing with the hurt and wounded energy that's underneath it. And I know that if you're not in that position, if you're not doing the kind of work that I'm doing, that it may be more difficult. It certainly would be for me, and certainly is for me when I'm not in the structure of my work, when I go to the grocery store or someone else and catch myself getting triggered by what people are not doing or whatever. But there is gold. There is rich information. As Jung said, there is gold in the shadow. There's rich information in every opinion that we have about the other. Every stance that we take, and the more entrenched we are, and the more self-righteous we get, and the more rigid we get in our bodies when we think about the current political leaders or the past political leaders or whoever, the more rigid we feel, the more entrenched we feel, the more we can know that the ego has really taken hold, and it's doing so to protect itself from something more true, which are underlying thoughts, beliefs, and programs that probably feel a bit more vulnerable. I have had clients come to see me who were on the verge of leaving their spouses because their spouses wouldn't wear a mask out in public. I have had, excuse me, I think I'm getting ready to sneeze. Excuse me. I have had people on the verge of losing their jobs because their jobs were requiring them to wear a mask, and they had lots of feelings and fears about doing so. So certainly, if there are people who feel that strongly, and there are people who have one opinion that, for example, that wearing a mask is the right thing to do, and another group of people having an opinion that not wearing a mask is the same to do, is the right thing to do, then it can't be about the mask. It's got to be about the feelings that arise. And what I know is that trying to get your place of work, or trying to get your partner or your spouse or your friends on Facebook, your so-called friends on Facebook, to agree with you just because you blast your opinion and try to get them to agree, that just doesn't change anything. It doesn't do anything. All it does is create more resistance in the body mind of the person on the receiving end of it. Or you'll get you'll get agreement from someone who agrees with you, but it's still coming from a place of resistance to the other, and you get to congratulate each other and support each other in your egoic stance and your respective resistance. It's not the way of evolution. It's not. And again, at the risk of sounding judgmental, I'm not judging the positions people are taking. I am advocating for going deeper and finding the truth underneath the position, which is layers of feelings, and being able to have a conversation about how we really feel. I mean, the more vulnerable feelings underneath. I'm so pissed off at so-and-so, which is so easy to do in social media. But I'm talking about the deeper feelings, the feelings underneath that. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. And then go for what's even deeper than that, which is the peace and well-being and sense of safety and security that lives at the core of your beingness. It lives at the core of all of our beingnesses. But you can't get there by trying to will yourself there. You can't get there by trying to positive think your way into it. You get there by checking inside yourself and going down through the layers. Going down through the layers that the ego doesn't want you to see. And as the one who can observe and make a space for it and be aware of the layers of feelings and the underlying wants and drivers that are behind our opinions and beliefs, is we can make a space for those, sort of like inviting those into our living room where we hold the space for them to come in and have their say. As we do that and get more comfortable doing that and listen to what they have to say, we not only see them for what they are and allow them to release, because they will release in the space of your compassionate awareness. But in the process, you are building your sense of truth of who you are, because as the compassionate awareness, as the one who holds the space, you are being the truth of who you are. You are the compassionate awareness underneath everything else. And so every time you can make a space for these other things to arise, you're like building your muscle, which is probably not a great way to say it, but it's like you're getting more familiar with yourself and the truth of yourself as the awareness and the still quiet space on which it all appears. So, I hope you will find this helpful, and I hope you will hear this message as a loving invitation to use this potent time and the feelings that it triggers in you as a way to discover more the truth of who you are. Because, as I said, all of the great masters in history suffered before they came to that realization. It was their suffering that brought them to the place of knowing the truth. And we don't necessarily have to suffer the way that they did, in the extreme ways that they did, to do that. But we can use times like this, anytime we're hurting or suffering, as an opportunity to cultivate the truth of ourselves. Peace and love to all of you, and if I can be any help at all, please let me know.